So in this presentation, we'll be talking about enhancing your site performance, enhancing your site performance. So, so a lot of people, they might jump right into marketing and sales, but before you begin marketing your website, it's really important to make sure that it's well designed, that it's well optimized. And that's what we'll be talking about in this presentation is how can you really enhance your website performance before you begin your marketing. So the tips that are provided in this presentation would apply to almost any industry, and they're very practical tips that you can start to utilize to start seeing results. So I've been really looking forward to this presentation. I hope you have been as well. We're gonna dive right in and then we'll go into the Q&A. So in this presentation, we're gonna talk about three crucial things that you need to consider before launching your website. So three crucial things that you need to keep in mind. Secondly, you're gonna learn about how to strengthen your website copy. So how to improve your website copy so that it's much more compelling, much more engaging, much more effective. We'll also talk about how to create a much stronger impression when people visit the website. So how can we really grab them when they visit the website and create a much stronger impression so that they want to learn more? We'll also talk about how to increase engagements on your website. So how can we make the website much more engaging so that they express more interest in our brand and they have more interest in what we're saying? And we'll also talk about how to drive people to our website. So after we have a website with strong copy, it makes a strong impression and it's very engaging. We can now start driving people to it. And then we would also talk about how to increase sales on your website. So what steps can be taken to increase the sales on our website as well?
Okay, you said it was coming. Sure did, Jay. Oh my goodness! After those scattered shots
Somebody mute their
last
mic.
night, earlier this morning.
Okay, great, fantastic. Let me see. Give me one moment. Okay. And lastly, we will now talk about how to track performance over time. So how can we track our website performance over time? Okay, so let's dive in. So here are three crucial things that you need to consider before launching your website. Here are three crucial things that you need to keep in mind. So there are lots of other things that are important to consider, but in this presentation, I'll just be sharing with you three major things that you need to consider before launching your website. So that way you can determine if you're even ready to have a website or the best tools that you would need. Okay, so the first thing that you need to consider is who exactly you're trying to speak to or the kinds of people that you're trying to connect with. So you can call this your target customers. You can call this your customer avatar, your customer personas, your ideal prospects, but it all means the same thing. So at this point, we're just trying to gain a clearer picture of the kinds of people that we're trying to reach, that we're trying to attract to our website. So before developing a website, it's really important to gain a clearer picture of the target users. And gaining a clearer picture of the target users is not about discriminating against other people. It's not about following stereotypes, or it's not about focusing on just one person. It's more about gaining a clearer picture of the kinds of people who would benefit the most from our offers, or the kinds of people who we can most easily market to, or who would express the most interest. So that's what we're trying to gain a better understanding of. So sometimes you could find this information online. If you Google it, you could find good quality information on your target customers online. Sometimes it's free and sometimes it's paid, while sometimes it's also pretty expensive. But at the same time, you can also gain a much deeper understanding of your target customers by putting yourself in their shoes. So through empathy and by putting yourself in their shoes, you can also gain a better understanding of the kinds of people that you're speaking to as well. Okay, so one key question that we need to consider is what are some of their key pain points and challenges? So the people who would be using our offers. So what are some of the key pain points and challenges that our offer would be solving or addressing or alleviating? So it's really important to gain a clear idea of the kinds of pain points that we're able to solve. So by understanding the key pain points, we can now have a much deeper understanding of our target customers. So at this point, we're just trying to look at them as people, see them as people, So everyone, we all have pain points in our life, certain challenges. So what we're offering, it needs to align with those pain points. It needs to address those pain points and show that there has to be a way to show that we understand them. Okay, secondly, we need to consider how exactly do these people make decisions? So the kinds of people who would be taking on our offers, how would they make decisions? Because different industries are different. So the way people make decisions to buy a luxury fragrance is quite different from how they make decisions to go to a local dentist. So different industries and different niches and different sectors, they all have different decision-making processes. So at this point, we're just trying to understand how these people make decisions. So how do they choose one brand over another? Or let's say, for example, we're a B2B business. We're trying to target these larger companies. A lot of these larger companies, they may have much more complicated sales decision-making processes, but we would just need to understand who the kinds of people that we're trying to reach. So who are the key decision makers? Are we trying to reach the managers? Are we trying to reach the heads of departments? So all these things need to be considered upfront so that we can develop a much more effective strategy. Okay, next we need to understand what are some of their interests. So the kinds of people who would be taking on our offers, what are some of their interests? So what are some of the things that they might be interested in? So if someone is looking to buy my offer, which other things might they be interested in? So by understanding what their interests are, that would help to determine the right marketing strategies to really grab their attention, to really hold their interest. It would also help to determine the kinds of offers they would be interested in or the kinds of content they would be interested in. So it's really important to understand some of their interests. So for example, it could be like which kinds of websites might they like? Which kinds of blogs might they like? Which kinds of podcasts might they be listening to? So by understanding these interests, it can really open the door to a lot of more insights into how our customers think. Okay, next we need to understand what are some of the key concerns and sales objections that they may have. So this is a little bit more tricky because most of the time they're not even going to tell you. So you would have to really put yourself in their shoes to understand some of the key concerns that may prevent them from taking on their offer. So let's say, for example, we sell soaps. Let's say we sell skincare products. In that case, then a key concern might be, what if it irritates my skin? What if I have allergies? That could be a key concern. So we would need to understand like what are the key concerns in our specific industry, in our specific niche that we could address through our marketing copy. Okay, so now that we've gained a better picture of who we're speaking to, the next key thing we need to consider is the goals. So what are some of the goals for our websites? What are we hoping to accomplish with this website? So by gaining more clarity on what the goals are, we can now make decisions that align with these goals. So every decision that we make with our website needs to align with the goals so that we can achieve our goals much more efficiently. So if our decisions don't align with our goals, then it means that we're getting distracted. So every decision that we make needs to really align with our goals for the website. So for example, we have short-term goals. So what do you want our website to accomplish right now? So for example, if it's an online store, then in that case, then we want our website, we want people to make purchases on our website. That would be the ultimate goal for them to buy our products if we're an e-commerce site. Or let's say, for example, we are some kind of coach or consultant. In that case, then maybe the goal would be for them to schedule a consultation. So when it comes to goals, if we have too many different goals, then the more goals we have, the harder it would be to achieve them. So when it comes to goals, we need to make it as narrow as possible. Maybe like the top three goals. So the fewer, the better. But it's good to have one major goal, and then maybe you can have a couple other goals as well. But the fewer, the better, because we need to be as focused as we can. Okay, long-term goals refers to what do we want our site to do in the future. So we need to identify what are some of the longer term goals, like in the near future, like by this time next year or in the next 5 years. So for example, let's say right now we're a small online store, but in the future we're hoping to expand into something much larger, like a larger e-commerce site. That could be a longer term goal. So by identifying our longer term goals up front, we can now make much more informed decisions that align with our long-term goals. So let's say, for example, we're looking to expand our website in the future. In that case, then that would help to inform our marketing strategy because we would also need to expand our audience base as well. Okay, we also need to consider like what are some of the other possibilities? So what are some other future possibilities that may exist? So these are just things that may occur in the near future. So let's say, for example, we have an online course. So a future possibility could be maybe we're looking to grow an online community as well. That could be a future possibility. So by identifying what the goals are, we can now make much more strategic decisions with our website. And if we're not sure about what we want, then that really uncovers that we're not really ready yet. Because before we begin developing a website, we have to be crystal clear about what our goals are. Okay, so after we identify what the goals are for the website, the next key thing we need to consider is the functionality. So based on what our goals are, and based on our target audience, we can now determine what our site needs to be able to do. So we have the must-haves and we have the nice-to-haves. So the must-haves refers to the things that our site must be able to do to be a success. So what are the things that our site must be able to do to be a success, to function properly? And then the nice-to-haves are just the things that we don't really need, but we might also consider these things depending on the cost and what's feasible. We might consider the nice-to-haves as well. Okay, so when it comes to must-haves, we need to ask ourselves, what kinds of features do all websites tend to have? So you would need to have the basic features that our website is supposed to have. So for example, every website needs to be able to be accessed from different devices. So our website, it would need to be responsive to different screen sizes. They would need to be able to access it from the phone, from the tablet, from the desktop. That's a really important functionality that it would need to have. And also, all websites would probably need to link to social media. So there has to be a way to link to the sites to our different social media channels as well. Okay, we should also consider like other websites in our industry. So when we look at successful websites in our industry or in our niche, what kinds of features do they tend to have? So for example, let's say we are a consultant or an expert. So in that case, that we want people to schedule a consultation. So in that case, then we would need to determine the right functionality. So let's say, for example, we want them to receive a text reminder when they schedule a consult. That could be a must-have feature to have. Or let's say we're a nonprofit. In that case, and there has to be an effective donation system that could be integrated onto the website. Or let's say we're a local business. In that case, then maybe there should be a way to show the physical location on a map. There should be a way to show a map on the website so that people could see where our location is and they could easily find us. So by looking at other websites in our industries, we can now determine the kinds of features that would be most important for us to have. We should also consider our customers. So which kinds of features would our customers value the most? So for example, maybe they're looking for a more convenient experience. Maybe they're looking for more payments options. Maybe they're looking to be able to pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, WeChat Pay. Maybe they want buy now, pay later if we're an e-commerce site. So that could be a feature that they would probably value because it's making it much more convenient. Maybe they want express checkout to make it easier. All these things will help to make it more convenient for customers. But ultimately, we need to consider our goal. So by considering our goal, we can now determine which kinds of features would best align with that goal. So let's say, for example, our goal is for them to make a purchase to buy our products. In that case, then a really helpful feature could be an opt-in. So maybe there should be an opt-in form on the website where people, because not everyone might buy now, some people might buy later. So there has to be a way to capture people's information and keep in touch with them so that when they're ready to buy, we can now reach out to them as well. So maybe we should have an opt-in form where they can subscribe to our newsletter and they can now receive promotions in their email. That could be a really effective way to achieve our goals more effectively. Okay, so let's talk about nice to have. So these are just the other things that we don't really need, but we might consider these things as well, depending on how, what they entail and what's feasible. So what else might we be considering? So let's say, for example, we want to integrate Google Business. That could be another feature to consider. We want to show our Google Business reviews on our website. That could be a nice feature to have to help to make our website look more credible. We might also consider maybe having slide banners. Maybe we want to show our work, then we could consider having maybe some slide banners on the website. But the thing about slide banners is that sometimes they might slow down your website on the mobile phone. So if you're looking to consider having a slide banner on the website, we would have to be careful as to how it is being integrated. Okay, so another really interesting feature could be maybe translation. So maybe we're trying to reach people who speak other languages. So maybe we want a way for people to browse our website and select which language, based on what's convenient for them. We want to be able to browse in Spanish as well as English. That could also be a nice feature to have, depending on how much what it entails. That could be a nice feature to allow people to browse in different languages. So what else can be done to spice up the website? So when it comes to nice to haves, we have to avoid things that are unnecessary. So at this point, we're just trying to consider which other things might really help to spice up the website without being unnecessary. Because if we have too many unnecessary things, then our website ends up being too busy. And all these things would slow down our website performance. So we just have to be careful with the kinds of features that we're having. Okay, so now that we've gone over the top three things to consider, the next step is how can we turn our website from stagnant to dynamic? So a lot of people, they see a website as a static digital flyer or a static digital business card that doesn't really generate any results. But that's a misconception because our website, it needs to be seen as a machine that could generate results for our business over the long term. It has to generate results that can be tracked and results that can be measured. So how can we turn our website from a stagnant digital business card to an actual machine that can generate results for our business over the long term? Okay. So the first step is to strengthen our website copy. So what exactly is our website saying? Are we speaking to our prospects in a more effective way? How can we refine our website copy? So when it comes to website copy, it needs to feel like a warm conversation. So it shouldn't sound like a used car salesman. It shouldn't sound too AI generated. It shouldn't sound too robotic. It needs to sound like a warm conversation with our prospects. And also, when it comes to website copy, when developing our website copy, it's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of refinement and improvements. So there's always room to improve our website copy to make it much more engaging, much more compelling. So one key question that our website copy needs to answer is, what is the problem that you solve? So when people browse your website, they have certain problems. So we need to align our website with the key problems that our prospects have. So if they perceive our website as a solution or a potential solution, then they will take our website much more seriously because it's solving a real problem that people have. So there are different types of problems. It could be emotional problems, it could be financial problems, but there has to be a way to clarify the problem that we solve, or at least the problem that we alleviate, or the problem that we address. All these things need to be clarified through our website copy. Secondly, our website copy, it needs to convey the emotional benefits. So how does our brand or our offer make people feel? So for example, it could be financial freedom, or it could be feeling empowered. So there's so many different kinds of emotional benefits. So when it comes to emotional benefits, it's not about what we say, it's about how we say it. So we're trying to amplify the emotional benefits so that it really speaks to people at a much emotional level. So we have to be more creative in how we convey the emotional benefits of our offers to make it more enticing. So, for example, we can use storytelling to convey the emotional benefits. We can use metaphors to convey the emotional benefits. We can use metonymy to convey the emotional benefits. All these things will help to make our website copy much more compelling. So when you look at your offer, what are some of the key emotional benefits that customers would value the most? And are you really expressing that through your website copy, in an effective way? Another thing that our website copy needs to talk about is how will their life improve? So what's the before and after? So after they take on our offer, how would their life improve or how would their career improve? Because the part of our brain that makes decisions, that part of our brain wants to see the before and after. It wants to know how the life will improve. There has to be a tangible improvement by taking on our offers. So when it comes to how your life improves, not everything can be guaranteed. So we can't always guarantee how their life will improve, but we can definitely give them a rough idea based on our past results that we've been able to get. And if you can guarantee something, then that would give you a huge advantage over others as well. And also, what makes your offer different from others? So when it comes to differentiation, it's not as complicated as you think. It's not as difficult as you may think. It just requires thinking outside of the box and providing people with something new, something fresh. So how can we make our offers much more different? And are we really communicating that through our website copy? And lastly, how can we simplify our messaging? So when it comes to website copy, it's kind of like feeding a child. So we have to make it as simple as possible because most people, they have very complicated lives. So if our website copy seems very overwhelming, then what happens is they would end up procrastinating. They would go to something else that's much more simple because they probably have a lot going on. They're probably juggling a lot. So we have to make our website copy really sharp and to the point. So how can we make our website copy crystal clear, really concise, so that it's much easier for the brain to process? So let's say, for example, we have very large chunks of text on our website. Then maybe we should break it down into paragraphs so that which with subheaders, so that way it's much easier for people to read through. All these things will help to make our website copy much more interesting, much more compelling. So when it comes to messaging, we have to simplify it as much as possible. And what are the key takeaways from the messaging? So when we look at our website messaging, what's the key takeaways? And we could also consider bullet points. So by using bullet points to communicate the key takeaways, that can really help to make our website copy much easier to read and to process and to remember by using bullet points. So by communicating the problem we solve, by really conveying the emotional benefits in an effective way, by clarifying how their life would improve and what makes our offer different from others, and by simplifying our messaging as much as possible, that would really help to strengthen our website copy so that it's much more compelling. Okay, so now that we've improved our website copy, how can we make a much stronger impression? So our website, it needs to make a strong impression when people visit. It's because, like I said earlier, people get distracted very easily. Most people are very busy. So when people arrive on our website, it has to really pull them in. It has to really draw them in and create a really strong impression so that they want to learn more. Because if it doesn't create a strong impression, then most people would just leave. And our customers, they're already coming to conclusions from that first impression that they have with our website. They're already jumping to conclusions before they're even aware of it. So our website, it needs to make a really strong first impression from that first point as soon as they land on the website. It has to really draw them in. So one step to make a much stronger impression is to optimize your headlines. So your headlines are the first thing that people see as soon as they land on the website. So it's usually the largest piece of text on the website on the top, and it serves as an introduction into your website and what your brand is about or what your offer is about. So when it comes to headlines, it's really important to make our websites as good as we can. So your headline is much more important than you may think, because when customers arrive on the website, they use the headline to determine if you're going to continue reading based on what the headline says. So we have the way we approach headlines, we have to approach it similar to how you would design a logo. So we have to come up with as many different headlines as we can, and then we have to pick the best headline that's most interesting, that can really draw people in. So our headline, it needs to communicate what they can do here and how it's going to make their life better. There has to be a way to communicate what we're the value in a really clear and concise way. And we could also include a subheadline to talk about it in more detail. but our headline, it needs to be clear and concise. Okay, another step to create a much stronger impression is to consider the images that you use. So when it comes to our website's imagery, we need to avoid images that are very pixelated. We need to avoid images that have money falling from the sky or images of people giving a thumbs up because all these things will make your brand look like a scam. So when it comes to images, we're trying to build trust. So our brand's images, it needs to show, it needs to communicate the value. It needs to tell a story. So our customers, they should see themselves in the kinds of images that we use. It needs to convey value and convey things that people can relate to. We have to use images that show what we look like, what our staff look like, what our products look like, what our buildings look like. All these things will help to make our brand much more trustworthy. Okay, so when it comes to making a stronger impression, we also have to consider different screen sizes and browsers because sometimes your website might look really great on the laptop, but it might look terrible on a mobile phone, and that can create a bad impression about your brand. So we have to consider different screen sizes and browsers. How does it look on Safari? How does it look on Firefox? Because sometimes your website might look different on a different browser. So it's really important to consider how does our website translate to different screen sizes and different browsers? Another way to create a stronger impression is to utilize trust signals. So trust signals are the things that customers see that help to create a sense of trust in your brand. So let's say, for example, you have testimonials. That could be an example of a trust signal. Or let's say you have credibility badges from different associations that you're affiliated with. That could be a trust signal. Or let's say you have logos from different partners or different places where you've been featured. That could be an example of a trust signal to really make a much stronger impression. So when it comes to making a stronger impression, everything needs to align with our goal. So we're not trying to distract people because if you have too many things going on, so if you have all these slide banners, bright colors, all these things are going to draw people's attention away. It's going to distract them. If you have all these animations and things going on. So we have to keep it simple and concise. So what is the goal? And how can we really place more emphasis on that goal so that they're much more likely to take action? Okay, so now that we've created a much stronger impression and we've pulled people in to learn more, we have to now engage them. So how can we increase engagements on our website so that they spend more time, so that they want to learn more, so that they express more interest in our brand? Because most websites, people just spend a few seconds on them. They just spend 5 seconds, 2 seconds. But if you have a website that's engaging, then people would spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we have to make our website much more engaging. And if people are spending more time on our website, if they're sharing our website, if they're returning to our website, then our websites would also rank much higher in the Google search because Google ranks websites that people would love the most. So how can we increase engagement? So one way to increase engagement is through valuable blog content. So the blog on your website, so if you have a blog on your website, that's kind of like your website on steroids because it would really help to make your website much more engaging, much more interesting. You don't even have to call it a blog. You can give it a fancy name. So to those who don't know, a blog is the part of your website that has all your contents, all kinds of valuable information that people could read. So let's say you're a good writer. In that case, then it would be a great idea to have a blog on your website. Or let's say you have a copywriter that's available. You should definitely have a blog on your website to really engage people and create interest. Okay, another way to increase engagement is through video. So when it comes to video, we have to be a little bit more careful because sometimes videos might slow down your website on the mobile phone. So if we're trying to integrate video, then we need to consider like how can we integrate lazy load? So lazy load is a technical term, but if you ask your developer, he would know what you're referring to. So if you integrate lazy load, that would prevent your video from slowing down your website. So by integrating video, that would give people something to watch so that they spend much more time on it. Another way to increase engagements on your website is through quizzes. So if you have really interesting quizzes on your website that allow people to uncover things about themselves, about their careers, about their lives, that would really help to make your website much more engaging. Another way to increase engagement on your website is through helpful resources and tools. So your website, it shouldn't be seen as a place for people to it shouldn't just be seen as a vendor. It shouldn't just be seen as pushing products. It has to be seen as a valuable resource that people need in their lives. So your website, it has to provide value up front. So which kinds of resources and tools can you provide from your website to make it much more engaging? And the thing about these resources is that people are much more likely to share them. And when they share these things with others, then that would bring more people to your website. So one really valuable resource you can include, so let's say you, for example, you had a free download on your website that's teaching them something valuable or helping them to solve a problem. So you can offer that free download in exchange for email addresses. And by acquiring these email addresses, you can now keep in touch with these people over time so that they learn more about your brand, so that they feel comfortable with your brand. And that way you can keep in touch with people who may not buy now, but who will definitely buy from you in the near future. So what kinds of helpful resources can you offer from your website to make it much more engaging? Okay, so through valuable blog content, engaging video, by offering quizzes and lots of helpful resources and tools, that will really help to make your website much more engaging, much more valuable, and really create more interest in what your brand has to say. Okay, so now that we have a website that's very engaging, we have really strong copy, it really draws attention, it really pulls people in. How can we now drive people to the website? How can we actually, because it's not enough to just have a well-designed website, we have to also drive quality people to the website so that they can engage with it. So how can we drive traffic? So we have push marketing, we have pull marketing, and we have permission marketing. So push marketing is also called direct response marketing. So let's say, for example, you run an advertisement and then they put your brand in front of your ideal customers right now. That's an example of push marketing because you're pushing your offers right in front of your customers right now. So the thing about push marketing is that it's a much shorter term strategy. Another thing about push marketing is that it's much easier to track the return on your investments. So let's say, for example, you're running a Facebook ad, then you can actually see exactly the results right now. You can compare it to how much you're paying. So it's much more direct. So you can actually see the return on your investments. Another thing about push marketing is that sometimes it could be very distracting. So have you ever watched a YouTube video and then like an advertisement popped up? That's an example of push marketing. So sometimes it can be very distracting and that can create a negative impression. So when it comes to push marketing, we have to make sure that we're putting our message in front of the right people who would be most interested in what we have to say. Okay, so so on the other hand, we have pull marketing. So pull marketing is also called inbound marketing. So it refers to what we do to attract people to our website over the long term. So how can we attract more people to our website? So let's say, for example, we have a blog on the website with lots of helpful content that's designed to attract our ideal prospects and create interest. That's an example of pull marketing because it's a longer term strategy. And when we optimize these blog posts for SEO, you would see that the blog posts would pop up in the Google search when people search for certain keywords, and that will help to pull more and more people to our website. So the thing about pull marketing is that it's a longer term strategy, but even when you stop, it would continue to generate results over the long term. So it has longer term results. But with push marketing, if you as soon as you stop, you would stop seeing results immediately. But with pull marketing, you will still continue to see results even after you stop. So it's a longer term strategy. It's also much harder to track your return on investment with pull marketing because it's a longer term strategy. And then we have permission marketing. So permission marketing refers to when the prospect actually gives you permission to market to him or her. So these are people who are much more interested because they've actually given you permission. So one example of permission marketing could be if someone subscribes to your newsletter. That's an example of permission marketing because they're giving you the permission. You can now keep in touch with them. Another example of permission marketing is push notifications. So push notifications is similar to email marketing, but if someone opts into your push notification, then they would receive your advertisements in their browser instead. So anytime you have a new promotion or a new release, you can send out a push notification and then they will see it in your browser. And when they click on it, it will send them back to your website. So ideally, you should consider a combination of all three methods because they all work together. Push marketing with pull marketing and permission marketing. All these things will help to drive more people to your website. Okay, so which social media channels can you also leverage? So the kind of social media channels that you use would depend on the kind of business you have and the kind of industry that you're in. So let's say for example you're a B2B business. You're trying to target people of a certain profession, of a certain career in a certain company. In that case, then LinkedIn might be more suited for you. Or let's say for example you're a very visual business. So let's say you have a local restaurant. In that case, then you want to be able to show people pictures of the food, of the restaurant space, of your events. So in that case, then maybe Instagram would be more suited for you. So it all depends on your business. But when it comes to social media, we have organic social media and then we have paid social media. So organic social media is more similar to pull marketing. So by posting on social media, that would really help to build your audience over the long term by being more active. And then we have paid social media, which is when you run an ad campaign to draw more people in, to get more followers. So when it comes to social media, the kind of approach would depend on the platform. So, for example, with Facebook, it's much harder to grow an audience on Facebook organically. So, if you're on Facebook and no one knows who you are, then you probably want to consider investing in push marketing to really run a Facebook ad and really grow your audience much more effectively, much more efficiently. Okay, so and also by partnering with other people, that could be another effective way to draw more people in by partnering with other people who are speaking to the same audience. So who else can you partner with? So you'll be amazed at who would agree to partner with you. You just have to communicate how partnering with you would be beneficial for your audience and for your brand. So let's say, for example, you do a podcast interview. That could be an example of a partnership, and you can promote the interview together. And when you do the interview, they would also link to your website as well. Or let's say you do a virtual event, you partner with someone else to do a virtual event. That could be another good way to draw more people in. So how can you put together a list of people that you can reach out to and partner with so that way you can draw more people to your site? So by drawing more people to your website, you're also helping to promote their program as well because you're also helping to promote them and you're helping to promote you as well. So it's more of a mutually beneficial relationship. Okay. So now that we've driven people to our website and it's much more engaging, how can we actually increase sales on our website? So when it comes to website sales, the kinds of approaches, so it's really important for our website to actually have people visiting in the first place. Because if no one is visiting our website, or if we have the wrong people visiting, then it's going to be much harder to get more sales. So we need to make sure that we have quality people coming to the website, and we have to make sure that the website is well designed so that way we can increase conversions. So what strategies can we use to increase conversion? So one strategy is to clarify and simplify the sales process as much as possible. So if you have a sales process that's not clear or too complicated, that's one of the biggest barriers of conversions. Like I've seen conversions increase just by clarifying and simplifying the whole sales process. So, for example, let's say you have a contact form that you want people to fill, then that form needs to be as short as possible. It shouldn't ask for unnecessary details. It shouldn't link to somewhere else that they're going to get distracted. So we have to keep the sales process as clear and simple as possible. Let's say we want them to schedule a consult with us on our calendar, that we need to communicate the value of that consult. What are we going to talk about in that consult? And we have to use bullet points to communicate the value. So what are they going to expect from that consultation? That would really help to increase conversions. So when it comes to our sales process, how can we clarify it and simplify it as much as possible so that we can increase conversions? Another way to increase conversions is to add a testimonial or an endorsement next to the call to action. So what's the action you want people to take? So let's say you have a button that you want them to click on. So maybe you can have a testimonial somewhere next to the button, or you can have an endorsement from a credible person. That would help to really emphasize why they should click on that button and make that decision. Or let's say you have a contact form that you want them to fill. Maybe you should have a testimonial right next to the contact form that's a really good quality testimonial. That would really help to increase conversions and really emphasize why they need to fill that form and make that decision. Another way to increase sales is by offering tiered options. So by offering tiered options, you would have options that are at a lower cost and options that are at a higher cost. So that way we could attract both people who can't afford the higher cost, and we could also attract the people who are much more inclined to go for the higher quality option. So by offering tiered options, that could be another way to increase conversions. We can also offer upsells and cross sells. So these are just other offers that people might be interested in that's related to what they're buying. So by offering upsells and cross sells, that's a good way to increase your average order value and your return on ad spend. Another way to increase sales is by providing value up front. So your website, like I said, it shouldn't just be seen as a place for people to cash out. It shouldn't be seen as a cashier. It should be seen like as a resource that people can receive value. That's how you really create that interest. So how can your website provide more value up front? So let's say, for example, you have a blog. That's a good way to provide more value up front, something they could read and see the value in. So by providing free value up front, that really helps to build the rapport so that they feel more comfortable with your brand, so that they trust your brand. So what kinds of free value can you offer up front? You can also offer the value in exchange for email addresses. So by offering value in exchange for email addresses, that would help you to capture the contact information of your ideal prospects who they might, because most people they're not ready to buy now. Some people they will buy later as well. So there has to be a way to capture the contact info of the people who would buy from you in the near future. So by offering free value in exchange for email addresses, you can now keep in touch with these people for when you're ready to make that decision. So there has to be a way to build that relationship with them over the long term. Another way to increase sales is through retargeting. So have you ever been to a website and then after you left that website, you kept seeing your advertisements everywhere? So that's the reason why they do that is because it works. So by retargeting, you can retarget people who have already visited your website. They've already expressed interest, and then you can now retarget them with new offers. So let's say, for example, you have a website that's getting lots of traffic. In that case, then you should definitely have your Facebook pixels installed because that way it could track all the people who are visiting so that in the future, when you're ready to start running ads, you can now target the people who visited your site. You can retarget them with your Facebook advertising campaigns. So by clarifying and simplifying the sales process, by adding a testimonial next to the call to action, by providing people with more flexibility and tiered options, by providing value up front, and by retargeting people who don't buy now. These are all effective strategies to increase sales on the website. And lastly, one thing to keep in mind is that no one likes a slow website. So have you ever been to a website that was just very slow? So all these things would really prevent people from taking that action. All these things would bring down your conversions on your website. So page speed is one of the biggest killers on websites. So your website, it has to be as fast as possible. So to you, your website may seem fine, but Google might actually perceive your website as very slow. And if Google perceives your website as very slow, it's going to be very hard to rank in the Google search. So there's a platform called PageSpeed Insights where you could type in your website and then it would tell you how fast or how slow it is and what could be done to improve it. So let's say, for example, you have all these programs in the background that's running. All these things will slow down your website. Or let's say, for example, you have really large pictures that are over 1600 pixels. All these things will slow down your website. Or if your pictures are over 800 kilobytes, all these things will slow down your websites. Or if you have large documents being stored, or if you have different websites on the same hosting, all these things will slow down your website. So we have to be very careful because if your website is very slow, it's going to be hard to get any sales on the website that's slow because you wouldn't want to invest in marketing and then drive people to a website that's very slow. So when it comes to our website, we have to keep it as fast as possible. We have to keep it as fast as possible. So, and also mobile is different from desktop. So on a mobile, if your website is 50 out of 100, that's still a good score. But on a desktop, we have to keep it above 85 out of 100. We have to keep it as high as possible. So what could be done to really to really improve your website speed and really improve sales on your website? And lastly, how can we track performance? So to some people, this may seem obvious, but there are lots of people who they don't put much attention into tracking how their website is doing. So there has to be a way to track how it's doing over time to improve performance over time. So one thing that you definitely need is Google Analytics. So with Google Analytics, you could actually see how many people are visiting. You could compare this week to last week. You can compare this month to last month. You can see which pages are attracting most people, which blog posts are attracting most people. You can see which states that they're coming from. This is all very valuable information. You can see how much time they're spending on average. This is all very valuable information. Another integration is Google Search Console. So with Google Search Console, you can actually see which keywords your website is ranking for, which keywords are attracting the most people in the Google search, which blog posts are attracting most people. This is all very valuable information to optimize your strategy. Another thing to consider is Bing search because not everyone might visit your website from Google. Some people might visit your website from Bing. So there has to be a way to track how many people are visiting the website from Bing, which keywords or which blog posts are attracting people from Bing. That's another really important integration. And lastly, we have Hotjar. So with Hotjar, you could actually see how people interact with your website. You can see where their eyes are going. You can see what's drawing the most attention. You can see what's not drawing any attention. These are all very valuable tools that you would need to integrate to your website. And the good news is all of these tools are free. So what are you currently doing to track performance and really improve your website over time? Because your website is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of improvement. So there has to be a way to improve it over time. All right. So I really hope you found this presentation very informative. We're going to dive into the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put your hands up in the chat. And after you get called upon, just let us know what your question is. Okay. So who has a question? Who has a question? Uh, all right. So I see Doris. I see Doris. Okay.
Yes, you mentioned a website, Paste the website, and wanted to monitor the site, but I didn't catch the name.
Google Page Speed Insights. That's what it's called.
Paste B.
Yeah, Page Speed Insights. Google Page Speed Insights. So it's a program in which you can type in your website and then it would tell you how fast it is or how slow it is or what can be done to improve it. Yeah.
Could you spell it in the chat for me, Eddie,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
Awesome.
Okay, so next we have Jeff Service. Yeah, we can't hear you, Jeff. We can't hear you. Yeah, he's muted. Yeah, Jeff is muted. Um, Jeff.
Okay, you got it now?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay. One of my questions is you went over all these slides, which are excellent. Okay, that'd be great if I could get a copy just to relook at them. When you said doing searches, okay, you mentioned Google and Bing and Hotjar. Okay, and we run sometimes paid advertising with Facebook. Okay, how does that compare to things that you do, or do you actually help Eddie? Do you actually help build websites?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
And that's what we do at Apricot Branding is that we help small to mid-sized business owners to really clarify their strategies, refine their design, and amplify their messaging. Whether it's a website or whether it's an ad campaign, we just help them to optimize performance. Yeah. Okay. 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 Is that all? Is that your only question before we go on to the next person?
no, I wrote your name down and I want to get back up with you.
Yeah, sure. My info is in chat. Sure. All right. So who else has a question? So I see Patricia. Thanks for joining us. But let us know your question. Yeah. Patricia, we can hear you. Patricia, we can't hear you. Um, yeah, I have to unmute. I have to unmute. Okay, Patricia, can you type in your question in the chat because it seems like your volume isn't working. Okay, let me see. Okay, it seems like she's having a problem with the mutes. So I've already unmuted. Seems like a technical thing. Let me see. I have to unmute. Mute all. Unmute. Okay, try it again. Okay, Patricia, try unmuting yourself again. Yeah, we still can't hear you. Yeah, it seems like your volume isn't working. Okay, Patricia, you're not muted, but your volume isn't working. So can you type your question in the chat? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I hear Walter Harrison as well. Walter, you have a question?
Yes. So I have a website. Do your company offer like I guess a review of current sites, and you can kind of give us pointers on, hey, you need to do this or come in,
Yeah,
or can you
absolutely,
do that?
absolutely. We have like free consultations where we can just sit down and take a look at your website and provide you with, professional advice on how
Okay.
you can optimize it. Yeah.
Okay. Like to try that with you, please.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So feel free to visit the website and you can schedule a consult to have a free website review. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to drop, sir. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's really
Eddie, what's the website?
Apricotbranding.com.
It's April.
Apricotbranding.com, like the color, apricot branding. I'll put it again in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat, please.
Okay. Okay. Apricot branding. Okay, I just did.
AP.
And Eddie, I had a question too.
Yeah, sure.
RICO.
This is Sam. I thank you very much for the information also. I was going to ask, and I see you already answered the question uh, about the consultation with the website. So I was going to ask you about your website I mean, your email to get in touch with you.
Okay.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
you said just do it through the website, apricotbranding.com.
Yeah, you can schedule a consult on the website or you can shoot me an email. The contact info is on the site as well.
The email is on the site because I didn't see your email.
Okay, let me put it in the chat as well.
Okay, and while you're doing that, the question I had was, as we are modifying our websites, because I'm at the stage now where I'm trying to complete adding some things to it, like uh, credit card payment mechanisms, those things to make sure I can take payments through the website. But as we add the features to it, so you suggest things that we can do or help in that area too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Merchant purchases. Okay. And the other quick thing I was going to ask is on our website, if we do set up, like I have a social enterprise that I do work through now, but I'm also looking at setting up another entity. And so if I do want to set up to link my website to a different website for my other entity, then do you also give some suggestions on ways to make that work well?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay. And the last, actually, one last thing on the AI aspect of using websites. What would you suggest in your experience so far are the best uses of applications of artificial intelligence within the website? Is it more for for prompting your potential customers or clients around questions that they have, or would it be more for just the advertisement piece of your own services, or combination, or what have you found unfolding recently in terms of the best applications of AI for purposes of generating traffic and business?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to AI, one program that's really good for coming up with copy would be maybe Chat GPT, but you would still need to refine it to make it better. But it's just a good way to help you come up with ideas for your website copy. Or even Grammarly has an AI tool for proofreading as well. So the way I approach AI is that AI is most effective when it's combined with human expertise. So there will still need to be that human expertise to determine the right solution, right, based on what the AI is providing. So it's best suited, is most effective when it's combined with human expertise as well.
So mostly what I'm hearing, I think you say, is that more in the development of from the owner of the website as opposed to the interaction with the customer.
Yeah, I'm referring to, mostly for developing the site, yeah.
Okay.
But and also there's a difference between AI and automation, but it's used interchangeably. But you can have a tool that's an automated tool, but it's not really AI. It's not really it doesn't really leverage AI. So for example, there's certain tools that could allow you to set up sequences. So let's say you want someone to schedule a consult on the website, you want a customer to schedule a consult, you can set up an automated sequence which they receive maybe certain emails. These are all automations that could be integrated to improve a website's performance. Yeah, and help to make your sales process, easier.
Yeah, you're speaking of something like a scheduler that would that automatically walks the person through the opportunity to set up times, also change them and things like that.
Kind of, but more like integrations that you can combine with your schedule. So there are all these integrations. So a lot of these different applications, they're all starting to merge together. So there are different tools that allow you to integrate them together so that, one application can interact with another application. So there has to be a way to link everything together so that everything is much more seamless. The customer experience is much more seamless.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I can look up some of those online and see what some of those automated tools
Yeah,
are.
sure.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Sure. Okay, so who else has a question? I see Samuel Nixon.
I'm sorry, that was me. I'd have to lower my hand. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you now.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have a question? Or even a comment. If you have a comment, let us know. Or if you'd like to share something that you learned from this presentation that's been really interesting or something that stood out to you. Let me see.
Well, I'll tell you, Eddie, I did like the questions that you asked. I like how you laid out the strategy, the step-by-step points, because now I can really think about these things. I think my biggest problem is adding content to the website. It's kind of bare,
Okay.
right? I mean, it took me a long enough time to talk about who I was. And now my next step this year was just to try to get engagement, get people to the site because I'm relying too much on LinkedIn
Okay.
to generate traffic. So everything that you talked about, I just thought was awesome. It was very clear. It brought a lot of clarity. And by asking questions instead of just telling us, made a big difference for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, so
I appreciate
mhm.
that.
Sure. Thanks for joining. And also if you would like to receive a copy, feel free to shoot me an email. And then,
Yeah.
when the video is available, I would also send you a copy of it as well.
Okay. And I'm definitely going to check out the links that you put in
Yeah, sure.
here regarding those things. And yeah, I would like to talk further about that because I do want to avoid the mistakes before I get too started. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So I appreciate it. I'm gonna
Sure.
run.
All right then. Thanks for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.
All right.
Eddie, great job.
Sure. Thanks for joining us. All right. So yeah, if no one has, does anyone have any final questions before we close?
Eddie, just to Sam again. So you were saying that you would make copies of the slides available?
I'll have the video available. Yeah.
Oh, the video. Okay, okay. And how do we get access to it?
Just send me an email. I'll send you a link to the video when it's up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right then. So yeah, it was really nice to have you all. Thank you all for taking the time. And I really hope we can stay in touch. So we're about to close off right now. I hope you have your information in the chat and feel free to download the chat as well.